Detective Danny Rourke is currently sitting in a therapy session. His therapist is trying to get him to talk about the day he lost his own daughter. It was just a normal day at the park with his little girl Minnie, who was having a great time, but then Danny looks away for literally 1 second. And just like that, Minnie disappears without leaving a single trace. Danny started to suspect this guy Lyle Terry did it because he was being a total creep looking at the kids earlier that day. He actually manages to get the guy arrested, but the guy's lawyer plays the mental incapacity card and the whole case just went cold. Right then, Danny gets a text from his partner saying he's picking him up in 5 minutes. Once therapy is over, Danny just stares at photos of Minnie and his wife Vivian. Years have passed, his wife left him, and the guy just cannot move on. He finally meets up with his partner Randy Nix. Nix has this weird recording of an anonymous tip to play for him. Some anonymous lady is claiming that the Bank of Austin is getting robbed today. She even mentions the robbers are only going for safety deposit box number 23. Danny thinks the whole thing is just a prank, but Nix tells him that 2 other branches of the same bank already got robbed. The weird part is box 23 is stolen every single time, even if there's 0 cash inside. Nix says the cops are already watching the bank from across the street. When they get there, they jump into a surveillance truck to see what's going down. Danny spots a guy who just comes and sits on a bench. The dude looks super familiar to Danny for some reason. Then a woman sits down right next to him. Suddenly, the guy looks her in the eyes and says it's very hot today. The woman goes into a total trance immediately. It's like he used straight up Jedi mind trick on her. Then he approaches 2 armored truck guards and says it's a sunny day. The guards freeze up instantly too. Danny realizes the guy is talking in codes and starts following him. He passes the lady on the bench and hears her muttering, "It's very hot today," over and over again. Nix tries to warn Danny that they don't actually know if the guy is a robber yet, but Danny ignores him. As soon as he gets inside the bank, Danny ditches his earpiece and lies to a bank employee about wanting to open a safe deposit box. Outside, the woman on the bench starts taking off her clothes and walks into incoming traffic, causing a massive pileup. Meanwhile, the employee leads Danny into the vault. He tells Danny he forgot his keys and walks out. But what he didn't know is that Danny already swiped the keys from him. At the front desk, the bench guy tells the receptionist it's late afternoon. She goes into a trance and just leaves her post. Inside, Danny finally opens box 23. To his total shock, he finds a picture of his daughter with a note saying, "Find Lev Del Rey." Suddenly, those 2 armored truck guards burst inside the bank with their shotguns blazing. Danny hears the shots and pulls out his gun. The receptionist mindlessly walks into the vault and grabs box 23. Danny tells her to stop, but she acts like he isn't even there. Suddenly, the 2 guards burst in and shoot Danny point blank. Luckily, Danny is wearing a bulletproof vest. The guards escort the receptionist out while Danny struggles to get back up to chase them. Outside, it's pure chaos everywhere. Nix and the other detectives have no idea what's happening. Suddenly, the receptionist rams the armored truck into some cars and flips it. She dies from her injuries right there. The bench guy shows up, takes the box from her hand, and leaves a bomb. Danny gets there, but the bomb goes off and all the evidence is toast. He spots the guy running and gives chase. The chase ends on a rooftop. Danny orders his detectives to cuff the guy, but as they get close, the guy says he's the wrong man. The 2 detectives go into a trance and point their guns at Danny. Danny asks them who they work for, thinking they're crooked. The guy says the cops don't have their own minds anymore, just like Lyle Terry, who kidnapped Minnie. Danny pulls out the photo and demands to know where his daughter is. The guy realizes the box he's holding is actually empty. Suddenly, Nix shows up. The guy orders the 2 detectives to clean up and jumps off the roof. The 2 detectives literally shoot each other to death. Danny goes after the man, but he's already gone without a trace. Nix tells Danny that the only surviving armored truck guard claims he can't remember anything. That evening, Danny is looking at surveillance footage of the guy. Nix calls and says they tracked the anonymous caller. Her name is Diana Cruz, and she's a psychic. Danny goes to her address and finds her using her psychic powers on a biker named Tiny. Diana ends her session with Tiny and tells him to wait outside. As soon as Danny mentions Lev Del Rey, Diana gets terrified and tells him to leave. Outside, someone approaches Tiny. When Diana tries to leave, Danny says he saw Lev Del Rey at the bank today. She stops. Suddenly, Tiny rams his bike into the shop to kill them both. Danny moves her out of the way just in time. Tiny tells them Del Rey won't stop and then ends his own life. Danny and Nix take Diana to out-of-service police station. She reveals that the bench guy is indeed Lev Del Rey. He's a hypnotic. He can control minds and even warp what people see as reality. Diana says she also has the same power, but Danny and Nix think she's talking BS. So she gives them a demo. She makes Nix sit, cry, and go outside for some air just by talking to him. When Danny gets scared, she tells him she tried to control him but couldn't. Apparently, Danny has some kind of mind block power too. Diana and Del Rey used to belong to a secret government agency called the Division. It was meant to train hypnotics, but the government just wanted to use them as weapons for politics. Delrain is the most powerful one, but he went rogue. Diana was one of the agents who tried to fight him, but she knew he'd escape, so she quit the division and went into hiding. She knew he was back when she saw the news about the robberies. Outside, Delrain finds Nix. Suddenly, the power goes out. Nix comes back inside and is ready to shoot Danny and Diana. Nix is totally under Delrain's control. Danny has to shoot him in the leg to stop him, but Nix is still fighting, so Danny handcuffs him to a jail cell. Nix starts cutting his own wrist with the handcuffs to get his gun. The pain doesn't even stop him. He almost escapes, but Diana shoots him in the head first. Danny is furious. Diana explains that as long as Nix is alive, he can't get out of Delrain's control. They have no way to explain his death, so they have to run. Overnight, they become the most wanted fugitives in the country. At a diner, Danny realizes Delrain was involved in Minnie's disappearance. He shows her the photo from safety box 23. Right then, a local sheriff walks in and recognizes them. Before he can pull out his gun, Diana quickly controls his mind and makes him report that they're heading north. She even makes him pay for their breakfast. When they try to leave, they hear Delrain's voice from sheriff's radio. He says 2 officers are coming and threatens Diana that he found her. As soon as they walk out, Delrain is there with 2 cops. Danny tells Diana to find a way out while he distracts him with the photo from safety box 23. He runs towards some train tracks. He hides behind trains, but Delrain warps reality to make sure Danny can't get away. Danny is surrounded. Just as the cops are about to shoot, a truck runs them over. It's Diana, still mind-controlling that poor sheriff. Delrain is already gone. Diana explains that a powerful hypnotic can make you see whatever they want. She also realizes Danny has a massive psychic block, probably from the trauma of losing Minnie. She warns him that Delrain can still get into his head though. They head for the border. The border officer knows who they are, but Diana uses her powers to let them pass. In Mexico, they go to see Jeremiah, a former division agent who has psychic block power even stronger than Danny's. Jeremiah is napping when he hears a knock. He sends his cleaning lady to open it, but gets suspicious and pulls out a shotgun on Danny. Suddenly, the cleaning lady points a gun at his head. It's Diana in disguise. She even mind controls the cleaning lady and hides her in a closet. They ask Jeremiah about Delrain. He tells them Delrain is after Project Domino, a weapon that can control even the strongest hypnotics. Delrain stole it and hid it, then wiped his own memory to keep it safe. But he left himself some secret triggers to find it later. He escaped 6 weeks ago when something triggered him. Now he's looking for the clues he left in those bank boxes. Jeremiah warns that Delrain is getting stronger with every clue he found. Danny realizes his daughter's photo is one of the clues. When Danny shows the photo, Jeremiah wants to take a closer look. Diana gets suspicious. Suddenly, Jeremiah turns into Delrain right before their eyes. He shoots at them and they have to run. They try to blend into a crowded street, but Delrain turns the whole crowd against them. Danny has to shoot in the air to scatter the crowd. A guy on a dirt bike tries to run them over, but Danny shoots him right in the head to knock him off the bike. He and Diana quickly jump on the bike and speed away as fast as possible. Delrain warps the reality again. Danny can't drive anymore. A truck tries to hit them, but Danny swerves just in time. They ditch the bike and run on foot but end up in a blocked alley. Delrain arrives with a bunch of mind-controlled cops. With no way out, Danny dares Delrain to try and break his mind. Delrain tries his best, but Danny actually wins the mind battle. He even mind-controls the cops to arrest Delrain. As they take him away, Danny freaks out and wants to know why this is happening. He asks Diana for help and she agrees. They go see River, a hacker who built the division's network. He takes them into his underground bunker. He searches for Danny's records but can't find anything about his wife Vivian. But when he searches her maiden name Riley and it turns out she's a top-level division agent, Danny can't believe it. Later, while Diana is in the shower, Danny gets a call from Delrain. He tries to make Danny kill Diana. Danny resists and throws the phone. He calls out to Diana, not even realizing he's holding a pair of scissors. He tries to stick the scissors in the wall, but he's still fighting Delrain's control. Diana sees his reflection trying to kill her. She calmly takes the scissors from him and kisses him. They spend some frisky time together and fall asleep. Danny has a nightmare where Diana turns into Vivian. He becomes suspicious and searches Diana on River's computer. To his horror, he discovers her alias is Vivian Rourke and she's his real wife. He checks his wedding photo and Vivian's face changes into Diana's. He also finds out his daughter is Project Domino and she's the child of 2 hypnotics. Diana confronts him and revives his memories. Danny remembers everything now. Diana was the one who happily handed their daughter Minnie to the division, but Danny didn't want her to be a government weapon, so he hid her and wiped his own memory. Suddenly, Danny realizes he's in an illusion. He concentrates hard and he's actually inside division headquarters surrounded by dozens of agents. Delrain says they've been resetting Danny's brain for 4 freaking years. Yet, they still haven't broken him to give up Minnie's location. 6 weeks ago, Minnie's photo showed up at HQ, so they've created this detective father trying to find his kidnapped daughter story for Danny. Delrain asks the location, but Danny refuses. Danny tries to run, but he just finds fake buildings and structures everywhere. Delrain says they build these fake buildings to make the illusions more realistic for him, and it's already the 12th time they've run this. Danny dares them to bring on the next one. They taser him, and he wakes up in a lab. Diana warns him his brain will be fried soon if he resists again and again. She tries to act like her love is real, but Danny tells her to go to hell. So they reset his brain again. But this time, Danny gets his memories back instead. He decides to follow along with the illusion while waiting for a chance to escape. He wakes up in the therapist's office again, but now he can see through every illusions and every fake buildings. While every agent is busy playing their roles to make illusions for Danny, he sneaks into a van and disappears from their surveillance cameras. Everyone panic. River quickly sounds the alarm, but it's too late. Danny is ramming through everything and everyone in his path. Diana still thinks she can control him, but he just hits the gas hard and escapes. She orders a helicopter and every agent to follow him. Nix brings Danny's notebook to Diana. It turns out Find Lev Delrain is an anagram for Deer Valley Lane. Diana realizes that's where Minnie is. Danny gets to a cattle ranch on Deer Valley Lane and meets his foster parents, Carl and Thelma. After they confirms he remembers everything, they take him inside to meet a grown-up Minnie. And yep, you guessed it, she's playing with dominoes. They have a big reunion hug, and Minnie says her mom is coming. The division finds out the ranch belongs to Danny's foster parents. When they land, Thelma and Carl fire warning shots and tell Diana even though they still love her as their daughter, they'll shoot if she comes any closer. Diana is confused. Delrain orders Nix to shoot Thelma and Carl. Nix shoots them down. Diana runs to help them. Danny comes out and says Diana wouldn't want this life for her daughter. Minnie comes out and hugs her mom. Delrain realizes Minnie is creating illusions around them. He freaks out and starts shooting at the house to disrupt the illusions. Minnie uses her powers to make all the agents shoot each other. Nix somehow breaks free and tries to shoot Danny, but Danny takes control and makes Nix shoot himself. The illusion ends, and Carl and Thelma are actually still alive. They shoot down the remaining agents. Every agent is dead. Delrain tries one last time to shoot Minnie, but she's way more powerful and makes him end his own life. Minnie then fixes her mom's memories. Diana sees herself being memory reset by a man in a red mask. Danny explains the whole story. They knew Minnie was powerful and that the division would never let her go, so they both planned the escape. They hid Minnie with her grandparents to practice her powers until she is strong enough to handle every division agent. Danny wiped his own memory and prepared the photo with the clue to remember everything later. He was also the man in the red mask who modified Diana's memory. Diana remembers everything now. The family celebrates their freedom and leave in a helicopter, but Carl stays behind to clean up the mess. As soon as they're gone, Carl picks up Delrain's gun and turns into Delrain. The real Carl is dead, but Delrain is somehow still alive. He immediately starts planning a new way to get his hands on the Project Domino.